because we're down one candidate, we have time for one more question. If anybody would like to raise their hand and present it to the candidates, go ahead.
One of the biggest problems we have representing billions in assets is knee-jerk legislation, literally every few months. And I realize most of this comes from the provincial level, but the City of Toronto obviously contains a lot in terms of dollar value. How are you prepared to assist us in dealing with this legislation that just never stops coming and costs us literally hundreds of millions a year?
Can you give us one or two examples that you think is knee-jerk?
Yes, an elevator consultant, an elevator technician gets killed on a site. I understand that's unfortunate. All of a sudden, we have to spend, as an industry, $250 million putting in elevator guarding barriers to protect the people that are qualified to work on the equipment. In other words, nobody else is allowed into these rooms other than elevator technicians. The doors are locked, but now we have to put in elevator guarding equipment to protect the very people who are qualified to work on this equipment. That's one example I could give you.
Mr. Smitherman, you want to begin? Then we'll go down the line again.
I think that very often, I think the best opportunity or the best answer that I could give you is that because the City of Toronto is also I don't know if they're a member of BOMA, probably they should be. They obviously have a hell of an asset base. And we see this also in the municipal standards work, where right now you could say like Toronto Community Housing is a crappy landlord and there's bed bugs and cockroaches and all kinds of other problems. But municipal licensing officials are constantly writing up Toronto Community Housing because railings are 2 or 3 inches shorter because standards have changed. So they're forced, because they get written up, to spend millions of dollars on stuff that probably is inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, while they are under-resourced to actually address the things that are impacting human life. So the best answer that I could offer you is that the City of Toronto should emerge as a partner, recognizing that we have so many damn buildings, and be aligned with your organization. I would think that would strengthen the collective voice. That would be the practical idea I could come up with.
Mr. Rossi.
I think it's part of a larger problem, which is that there is no real planning at the City of Toronto. There's no planning from a financial standpoint. They continue to plan a $9.2 billion operating budget on an annual basis, and that, of course, is going to lead to then suboptimal decisions and knee-jerk reactions because you're not looking towards the future. That's from a financial standpoint. But from a planning standpoint as well, I think there's an enormous opportunity for the next mayor, because the current chief planner is stepping down, that one of the most important tasks of the next mayor is recruiting a world-class chief planner and ensuring, in order to be able to recruit on a global basis, that planning has a central seat at the table, reporting to the mayor, not through 3 or 4 layers as is currently the case, so that you can attract and you can start to build, because in 2011 we have a review coming for the official plan. This is one of the most important tasks facing a city government, and we need to be looking far more into the future than we have been.
Thank you.
Because otherwise we'll get the knee-jerkism to continue.
Thanks, Mr. Rossi. Mr. Ford.
I completely understand where that gentleman's coming from about the involvement of the Ministry of Labour. We had the Minister of Labour come into our company about 2 years ago when one of our press operators, he made the mistake. He didn't shut off the press, and he admitted, he said, I made a mistake. They made us shut down our company for 3 days, lost productivity, put all cages around our machines, and the operator said, hold on a second, we don't need this. They came in and forced us to do this. I'm sorry, when my dad, and I was very proud, he's no longer with us, but he was an MPP for the Mike Harris government. And I saw how Mr. Harris delivered 30% tax cuts, and they said, there's no way, you cannot do it. He did it. He created more jobs in one term than the Peterson and the Ray government combined. So I can understand the frustration that the gentleman said about the Minister of Labour coming in and telling us how to run our businesses when they didn't have a clue about what the incident was. And I'm just going by personal experience here. And it just pretty well put us out. We couldn't deliver our goods to our customers, and we had to go down to Chicago and in New Jersey and get our stuff done. But you know what? You can't be doing this to businesses in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Thomson.
I'm not sure I heard a solution to that, but okay. The problem is this is municipal, and that is not. And so municipally, what can we do with developers? I've suggested a Design for Excellence program where we bring architects and designers in to give that stamp of approval to developers who build beautiful buildings. Because I'd like to see more beautiful buildings. Instead of those square blocks of concrete and glass that go up, how do we make a better city? How do we make a more beautiful city? So I've said, you know, why don't we create a working group who will give that Design for Excellence stamp. So if a building meets these standards, if it's built for the long term, if it has certain cultural styles added to it, that sort of thing. And this way, allow developers to actually have a chance at saying, like the LEED's stamp of approval does, what it does is allows you to sell the units for more because you've got this special stamp of Design for Excellence.
That brings us to 3 minutes over time. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I want to thank our candidates for allowing more time for questions by not having opening and closing remarks. I think we made very constructive use of the hour that we had. And secondly, I want to thank them for the congeniality and for a very policy-driven discussion. Thank you all very, very much.
And thanks to Seamus for moderating today, taking the time.